Are you attached to a story about who you are or maybe who you're supposed to be? You know, we have these ways that we talk about ourselves to ourselves, our internal dialogue. And oftentimes those are story based. We have identities that we attach to out of our experiences or what we think we should be, or maybe somebody told us who we should be. So I'm curious what those stories are for you. My name is Monique, and this is Insights with Monique. I'm a coach, educator, and overall curious human, here to help you lead a heart-led life full of authentic connection. Those authentic connections begin with connecting to yourself authentically. And often the stories we tell ourselves can impact how we really show up in the world and how authentic we are. You know, the word authentic gets thrown around a lot these days, and I think that the way that I use it is it's a trueness. It's a trueness of who you are in this moment. Because the other thing is we change, we evolve as humans. So our stories need to change and evolve as we change and evolve. So the story that you might have known yourself by when you were maybe a younger person, another version of you, right? Maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That story needs to evolve now to match who you are today. We are constantly in change. We are constantly evolving. We are constantly learning. We are constantly getting new experiences. And ideally, if we have some self-awareness and some self-reflection, we will evolve out of stories that maybe we once held on to. And sometimes those old identities or those old stories or those expectations of who we should be or how we should move in the world or how we should act are just exactly that. They're old. They need to move. They need to be let go of. And it can be the hardest thing to let go of old stories, especially that we have about ourselves. You know, I've gone through many different versions of me and I'm sure you have too, right? We have a lot of different versions as we continue to stay on this planet, be in a body, live a life. You know, I've gone through the perfectionist version, the very successful, needing to be independent woman version. I've been through the addict version, the broken version, right? There's a lot of these parts of me that still live inside, and I'm constantly questioning, okay, what story am I attaching to now? Who in my life is telling me that story again and again? Because how we identify within ourselves, what stories we tell ourselves, is going to impact how we engage with the world. Does that make sense? So, for example, if I was really attached to being the broken one, right? That kind of archetype. And I noticed people in my life were also attached to that for me. Right? It was like those were my connections. Those were the people I was involved with. Like, being the broken one brought in a certain kind of dynamic. And for a while, that was so true. And I've struggled with addiction. I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with a lot of dark stuff. And that's not all of me. That's a story that was part of who I was at one time. And now I don't have to identify with that story all the time, right? I can understand that story, and sometimes I am in that story again. I am the broken one because it's been true. And I'm also the empowered one. And I'm also the creative one. And I'm also the curious one. There's so many stories that we can be and experience. And when we let go of needing to really hold on to one version or one story, we also forget that those things are changing and that the truth of who you are now in this day, that's who you're trying to show up as. So let yourself kind of bring these stories to the metaphorical table, if you will. I like to use the table analogy. Let yourself put out all the stories, all the identities, all the ways that you think about yourself. Put it on the table in front of you, okay? So the broken one, the perfectionist, the creative one, the artist, like all these parts of you. The starving artist, right? That's a story I hear a lot, or that I've held on to as well. And notice which stories feel really old, which stories feel interesting still, which stories you're like, oh yeah, that's still me. And just allow yourself to play with the stories of who you are, because how you think of yourself is going to impact how you relate to the world. It's going to impact your relationships. Because if you're feeling like you're always the broken one, that is going to be the lens in which you see the world in. Okay? So how we feel about ourselves and the stories we tell ourselves is going to impact how we see the world outside of ourselves. Because if I'm always thinking I'm the broken one, then every interaction I have, I'm thinking, oh, they're seeing me as the broken one because I'm broken. This was years. I did this for years, and I still struggle with it. And parts of me are broken. That's human. I'm messy. I'm broken. We all are. And I'm also put together. I also have dreams. I also have visions. I'm also creative. I'm also successful. I'm also all of these other things. But when I have the broken story at the forefront, then everything I'm doing is because I'm broken. It's coming from that space. If I'm the man of the house, right? I'm the masculine guy. I'm the one who takes care of everything. Then that's how I'm viewing the world. That's how I'm putting myself out there. When that's happening, usually it doesn't give the feminine part of that person a chance to be seen, the emotional part. Because if you're trying to be strong all the time and be the provider all the time, you're going to be neglecting the other parts of you. If you're going to be the emotional one all the time, you're going to neglect the part of you that can stand up and be in power for yourself. I know these are all very vague and generalizations and kind of like overarching kind of ideas, if you will. But the whole purpose of today is to question who you believe you are. And in that questioning, notice what rings true and what might be old. What's an old version of you that might need to be laid to rest? In gratitude, saying thank you for existing. I'm so happy I got to be you for a while. Knowing that there's still part of you, it's still part of your story, the overarching story of your life. But noticing what identity or what story you're telling yourself now, or which one you want to tell yourself in the future. How do you want to live on this planet? What is the story that you really want as the overarching story of your life? What are the themes that come up, or the qualities of the life that you want to live? These are the questions to ask your heart. And when you ask your heart, she will tell you. You just have to listen. And sometimes it's really scary to be questioning the heart in this way, right? But the thing is if you stay curious, the fear subsides, because fear and curiosity can't exist in the same moment. You can get scared to be curious, but once you're curious, you're there, right? You can get curious, be scared of the answer, but then you get the answer. There's clarity. So you got to do this within yourself as you do this with other people. Try that today. Let me know what you think. Let me know how this works, or how this video sits with you. You can leave a comment. If you like what is going on here, make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you like and you want to check out more of what I do, go to MoniqueGomez.com. When you're there, check out the Raw newsletter. It's a newsletter I send out every week where I share even more insights, inspiration, and freebies that I don't share anywhere else. So check it out. Let me know also what else resonates. What else are you struggling with? What other topics are here right now and really alive for you? I'm curious. I want to know. I want us to have these conversations that are full of the heart, right? That are real, rather than prescribed on what we should be talking about. So let me know. Drop it in the comments. Until next time, take care. get curious, and just remember, follow your heart as much as you can.